You are taking a live look from Chopper 9 Sky Zoom as the running community has taken over Uptown. Thanks for joining us for this special coverage of the Around the Crown 10K here on Channel 9. I'm Phil Orban.
And I'm Hannah Getz. This is such an exciting morning. We actually have 11 Channel 9 cameras lined up all along the race route. We're going to make sure that you don't miss a thing today.
Now, you will also notice shortly in the top corner of your screen a countdown timer that is counting us down to the start of the elite race.
Yeah, so the strollers and the wheelchairs, they're going to start at 7:25. Our Devin Mello will be riding in the lead car. He's actually going to be strapped into the back of it, giving you live pictures of the fastest runners until they cross that finish line.
Now, this course is designed to show you the best of what Charlotte has to offer. So the race is going to start. That pack is going to run right behind our set. Right down, the first thing they're going to see is the gates of Bank of America Stadium.
Which is an exciting thing to see this early in the morning. And after the first mile, runners will get on I-277, catching the views of the entire skyline.
Now they're going to start mile 4. They'll head back to the streets of Uptown, past Johnson & Wales University, and then they're going to make their way back to us here outside of Truist Field.
So the big question is, how did this all start? Where do we get the idea from?
Yeah. How are you going to shut down Charlotte's main inner beltway for a road race an entire morning, messing up traffic all day? Well, years of planning had to go into it, figuring out how to do that. Traffic Team 9's Mark Taylor shares what sparked the idea for the Around the Crown and how much work goes into keeping these runners safe.
Race director and co-founder Brian Mister says that the idea for Around the Crown came from a traffic jam, a catchy name, and an inside joke that's led to one of the biggest and most celebrated events in Charlotte.
We were driving home like randomly on a Thursday night from a concert over at Music Factory, and we were stuck on I-277, and I was upset, like, how is there traffic out here? Like, I'm gonna get out of the car and run home. We joked about the idea for a while, and then the name hit us one day. We were like, Around the Crown, like, how fun would that be?
And this doesn't happen overnight. Organizing an event like this takes years, and the coordination of many agencies like NCDOT, CDOT, Charlotte Fire, Medic, and CMPD, and even a bigger part of that logistic piece happens here.
AWP Safety, we are the largest traffic control supplier within America right now.
Marcus Frazier is area manager for AWP, or Area Wide Protective, which handles ramp closures, traffic control, and safety precautions for the race in conjunction with multiple agencies put in place by dozens of crew members for an expected 7,000 runners. It's no small feat.
Throughout the course of the year, it's a rigorous progress. Making sure that the communication is back and forth, whether if it's through me to Brian or to NCDOT, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. It's all hands on deck.
And of course, there's all the equipment that goes into setting up the race. Lots and lots of equipment. But it's the safety component that all agencies involved consider to be their biggest priority. 9 of these trucks that are used to absorb crash impacts will be placed along the I-277 loop ramps to keep vehicles from entering the race course.
It's basically a crash truck, and it could stop, forces up to a semi.
And then there's the cleanup. All runners and equipment must be cleared out by noon to get the Uptown area back open. And when all the preparations have paid off and the fanfare dies down, at the end of the day, Brian says it's all worth it.
Sustainability, Charlotte, and inclusivity are our big pillars. So with that, we know that we're a race for all of Charlotte.
Reporting for Around the Crown, Mark Taylor, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Such an incredible undertaking, and when you hear the numbers around this event, 7,000 runners, over 7,000 runners competing, it's definitely necessary.
You're going to see them all around Charlotte and Uptown this morning. Very exciting. Now, it feels, temperature-wise, great, I will say. However, it's a little sticky out here. Meteorologist Maddie Baggett has the details. Maddie?
Yes, Hannah, that's because our dew points are already well into that tropical zone in the low 70s. Temperature-wise, pretty comfortable, low to mid 70s right now. We're going to make it to the low to mid 80s by about noon, closer to the end of the race. So heading out and about this afternoon, you won't need much. That rain, good to go, holding off until a little bit later on in the day. All right, to get you all ready for the race, we're going to send it back over to Phil Orban and Hannah Getz.
Maddie, thank you. All of today's runners are impressive, but the elite group, my goodness, to qualify for the elite corral, men have to run a 34-minute 10K. That's a 5-minute, 10-second mile pace.
Now, the women have to have a personal best in the last year under 42 minutes. That's a 6:45-mile pace. And in the non-binary category, it's a 38-minute cutoff for a 6:07-mile pace.
Channel 9's Hunter Sines will introduce one of those elites to us.
So far, so good. My 14th first day, so.
Stephen Salisbury just finished up his first week back in his science classroom at Community House Middle School in Ballantyne.
Still trying to learn names.
But he's already got his own test coming up, not in the classroom, but out of it.
The hardest part, I always say, is getting out the doors.
He'll be racing as an elite runner in the Around the Crown 10K.
So usually how fast of a runner are you?
For this race, I'm hoping like 5:30, 5:35 pace.
Thank goodness I'm not running it with you.
He'll be one of a few dozen elite runners, those with a sub-34-minute 10K to qualify, running or sprinting on 277 with impeccable views of the community he loves.
You don't notice their hills when you're driving in your car, but trust me, when you're running, you feel them.
For 3 months, the 39-year-old has been training, running 7 days a week.
No rest.
Not much. It's probably stupid on my end, but I'm not saying most people should do what I do at all.
But you still do it.
Yeah, I mean, stupidity is doing the same thing over and over
Gotta
again.
try to win, right?
Right?
Jokes aside, Salisbury has earned his elite status,
You put the work in and you benefit the rewards.
putting one foot in front of the other at a quick pace, starting at 12 years old.
I realized early on when I was a child that basketball and football were not in the cards. I just kept going. I found out I was good at something and I just kind of stuck with it.
He ran D1 at University of Rhode Island and since then has blazed through nearly 30 marathons, including all the major ones in the U.S. and even some internationally. But for him, it's the community he's built here, doing what he loves.
All my friends are in the running community. A lot of my jobs I've gotten is from running. So it's a huge gateway to everything in my life.
So today he'll take his storied history with purpose in every step, adding one more royal race around the crown to his elite running career.
Yeah, the competition's fun.
In Ballantyne, Hunter Sines, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Now, before the elites come the fastest parents you know. Still ahead, we introduce you to a group motivating moms toward a healthy life with their kids.
Welcome back. Take another live look over Uptown Charlotte from Chopper 9 Sky Zoom runners getting ready for this Around the Crown 10K. The stroller runners going off first. Last year, they were pretty incredible.
Yeah, and Channel 9's Deshaun Brown spoke to one group that empowers these runners to lace up.
Even with the strollers, straps, toddlers, this isn't your average preschool adventure. Instead, this is a group of local moms headed to work. Out.
Get nice and low on those squats. I joined as a member when my husband was stationed in Texas, in El Paso. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead, run straight up to Pavilion.
Kara Daniels started this group in Charlotte in 2020.
Down, down, up, up.
Because she missed the fitness community that first welcomed her in Texas.
Out, perfect, yep, bring it back in.
That organization was first named Stroller Strong Moms.
There you go.
And specialized in exercise for moms before and after giving birth.
We've got the full spectrum. So we've got moms who come pregnant with their first, and then we have moms that come that are way beyond that. One of our members, she's been with us since the beginning, and her 2 daughters are both in their teens now.
What about a try?
Angela Mitchell joined in 2020.
I came to Kara's preview classes. It was at the very, very, very beginning. Good job, you guys.
She's now a certified run coach, instructor, and manager.
Everybody was just so supportive and kind and helpful, and it was I had never experienced that before.
As for the workouts, there's cardio, core, and more practice pushing the stroller. It's a great prep for moms here who are in training for the Around the Crown 10K. The race features a stroller division that race director Brian Mister says is one of the largest in the country.
And a lot of that was us as parents years and years ago going out to do stroller races and seeing, oh man, we're having to get to the back of the pack and we need to bob and weave around people. Like, this isn't really fun. How could we make that different?
And like, how can we make this work for you and for what you need? So whether they're running with a stroller or they're running solo, you know, kind of figuring out what the strength training looks like, because, you know, you add that stroller in, that's a whole different ballgame. There you go, mama.
And for these women, it's quite often a slam. It just so happens that's also the acronym for their name. Sweat like a mother.
You've got your weights here at your shoulders, just a little dip, press it up overhead, okay?
It's chaotic sometimes,
Yeah.
and like y'all saw it, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes, you know, it's a little bit harder, but everyone always gets through it.
When we come back, race director Brian Mister joins us live. And we are just a few minutes away from the first runners setting off on a journey that's about more than just running. And here to tell us all about the race today is director Brian Mister.
Yeah, Brian, just tell me, what are your emotions like right now? You got to be nervous, excited. What are you feeling?
At this point, it's pure excitement. There's no nerves left. Everything's in place. We're ready to go. We're ready to have fun. The highway's shut down. It's just pure excitement to see 7,000 plus runners back here ready to go do this crazy idea we had, 7 years ago.
And speaking of that idea, we just talked about this is your baby. Take us back to those moments where you thought we could make this happen.
Yeah. This was probably 7-8 years ago. My wife and I coming home from a concert over at North NC Music Factory, and we were moving slow in traffic, and I said, man, I can run home faster than this. Like, what are we doing? The idea kept tumbling around in our heads. Next thing you know, we're talking to NCDOT and CDOT, and now we've got the full support of the city, and we're out here having fun. It speeds by in a blink, though.
Full support of the city and 7,000 plus runners today. I mean, how proud are you of the growth of this event?
Yeah, it's cool to see that. I mean, the other part of it, 7,000 is amazing. Yesterday we had a 300 person kids run as well. So to see 300 little kids out there running around is amazing. And yeah, today 7,000, probably 400 or so registrants. That's wild. I mean, you'll see from the chopper today, like, we'll have layers of runners. You'll have some under 277, some on 277, and some over 277. So it's just going to be a beautiful sight this morning.
We're excited for it. Race director Brian Mister, thanks so much for taking the time. Now we're going to send it in to meteorologist Maddie Baggett. Maddie, is it going to stay dry at least?
Looking good, you guys. No real significant rain threat until a little bit later on this afternoon. So mainly after about 11, we'll start to see that line come off of the spine of the Appalachians, starting off isolated and then becoming more organized for the metro. We're talking mainly after about 3-4 p.m., mainly after about 6 p.m. for those heavier showers closer to Rockingham and Chesterfield. But as far as race time, looking all good to go. It is just going to be a bit on the muggy side. As far as concerns a little bit later on this afternoon, we are minorly concerned with the potential for some severe weather, flooding, and gusty winds being our biggest concern. All right, let's send it back to Hannah and Phil.
Yeah, you may notice one of our own around the course today.
Yes, we had to make sure that we catch up with our own Damani Lewis running today. Damani, how's it looking out where you are?
All right, we're having some difficulty hearing Damani, but you could see those pictures, the runners, the sea of folks behind us. I mean, 7,000 is an impressive number.
There is so much excitement. And we were just talking to Brian, the director, a few moments ago. And, I mean, you can feel how exciting this is for all the runners out here. Damani will be one of them, and we'll check back in with him when he's on the course, which I'm sure he might not be too excited about, but we're going to hear how it's going.
We do have to fix that. He may be a little bit out of breath. We're going to ask him 7, 8, 9, 15 questions. Really put him to work here. The one number that we got from Brian Mister before we came on air is 25% growth in this event in the last 3 years alone, which is really just incredible. And it shows the growth of this event, how Charlotte has embraced this event, and how active of a city it is. And you're going to see some really, really beautiful pictures of the city as we follow these runners.
And one of the best things about this is that it's also promoting sustainability, a healthy life in Charlotte, and of course community, which we're seeing out here today. There's already people lining up on the sides with signs, just excited to cheer all of their friends and family on.
The stroller race is just minutes away. The elites go off just after that. The rest of the field follows 1 minute later. We'll be right back for the start of the Around the Crown 10K.
Welcome back. Joining us to help guide you through today's race is the 2000 Charlotte Marathon winner, Steven Spotted. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, he also calls track and field events at the high school level. Steven, we're so glad to have you walking us through this because you know so much about running. You have a lot of experience running.
Yeah, 30 years in the Charlotte area, running all over the streets, and I've done a lot of races and was fortunate enough, as you mentioned, to win the 2000 Charlotte Observer Marathon, so that was a big thrill for me. Yeah, happy to be here.
Well, these strollers are going to get going any minute. Well, let's kind of give you a look at the course ahead of them, designed to showcase the best parts of uptown Charlotte. The first thing the runners are going to see, as we told you, the gates of Bank of America Stadium.
Yeah, after the first mile, runners will get on I-277, catching views of the entire skyline. Take a look at this. And then they start mile 4. They'll head back to the streets of uptown and past Johnson and Wales University before making their way back to us right here.
We just heard the stroller race. They are heading out, not just the stroller race, but the adaptive runners as well. So you will see folks pushing strollers. You'll see folks, we'll see guiding the visually impaired. We'll see people pushing wheelchairs. Just a really, really incredible scene here. And Steven, just give us an idea of, you have pushed a stroller before in a race like this. Tell us what that was like.
Yeah, I had a funny experience where I was pushing our newborn. I think he was a year old at the time. And after I got done with the race, I was talking to a lady friend of mine, and she said to me, geez, I hope I never get beat by a person pushing a stroller. And it turns out that I had finished ahead of her in the race. So I won't mention her name. She was an Olympic trials competitor, very good runner. So funny experience.
But, I mean, the thing is that these are elite runners as well. They're fast, they're not slowing down, and they're carrying, in some points, their kids with them.
Correct, yeah. And when I think back to seeing the race last year, you had 2 runners that broke 30 minutes. Those are national class times. This is a strong field.
That's absolutely incredible. All right, so Steven, the Elite Corral is set to go off in a few minutes here. Give me a sense of what they're feeling right now, the energy, the nerves. What are they thinking? What are they going through?
Yeah, they're straddling a line between excitement, getting ready to race, but also keeping calm. And that's a delicate balance that you have to play because you have to be ready to race. So you're excited, but you're also nervous because you know there's impending doom. There's going to be a point in the race where it's going to get really hard, and you have to remain calm. And the last point to that is you can't win the race in the first mile, but you can certainly lose it.
Now, what we're taking a look at right now is this gentleman on our screen pushing this stroller ahead of the pack. What do you think would be going through his mind? Have you ever been in a position like this where you're just clearing the way?
Well, as I'm watching him run, he looks good. You know, he looks fast, and he just needs to keep doing what he's doing and focus on his race because he can't control what's going on behind him.
Now, we do have to say that baby technically would be the winner because he would finish. He or she would finish the line first. But
unless he's selfish and wants to get out in front of the jogger. So you never know.
All right, now here are the elites getting ready to go off. I mean, just. First of all, the time, Steven, that you have to compete in this event, these are some very, very fast runners.
Well, they are. And as I look at the start line, I recognize about 14 runners that I've run with in the last 2 months. Obviously, it's on their easy days, and I'm running all out at my advanced age. But, yeah, they're, they're looking around. They're having small talk. They're in their own head. They're looking at their competitors. There may be a little posturing going on, which really means nothing. Because when the gun goes off, it's go time.
And you've run with some of these people before. Tell us a little bit about what kind of athletes these people are.
Well, yeah, I don't think the runners get enough credit for being athletes, but in and of themselves, you watch the Olympics, you can't say they're not athletes running on TV. And these runners are doing the same thing and running this 10K distance, 6.2 miles, and that's a lot of stress for over 30 minutes, so pretty impressive.
So these runners are going to go off in about 35 seconds. They're going to go off a minute before everyone else. Stephen, just to be able to be clear of everyone and focus on their race, how important is that?
It's very important that they need to be single-focused, single-minded, and focus on what they can control, because that's all they can control. They can't run someone else's race.
This is so exciting. I mean, we're 10 seconds away here from launching this race. Stephen, just the idea that this event can generate this amount of excitement in the city, 7,000 runners, what does that number mean to you?
So it means a lot, and to think, I just spoke with race director Brian Mister, and he said to me that they had to cap it with a 25% increase. They could have had more runners. This race has grown tremendously in the 6 years of its existence, up to, I think, 7,400 runners now. Does it rival Boulder 10K in Colorado or the Peachtree Road Race in Atlanta? No. Can it one day? Maybe.
That's exciting, and Charlotte's known as an active city. I mean, you can. It's the weather here isn't certainly cooperating. It's a little bit humid, but we got a nice little breeze here. It's not too bad.
It feels great out right now. I know it's a little humid, but like you mentioned, those temperatures are fantastic. You see the excitement right there on the starting line, and I know you were seeing a lot of people hugging, shaking hands, high-fiving everyone. This is an exciting time for the people that you know and for the Charlotte running community.
So I don't know which I would rather be now, on the start line or where I am right now. I know my pulse is a little lower here than it would be at the starting line, and here we go. We're getting ready to start. This is exciting.
And they're running right behind our set.
They are taking off.
And we can see how fast these folks are moving. You'll see some pace setters holding those flags. They're going to let other folks know what group to run with. If you want to run a 40-minute 10K, they're the ones you're going to want to run with. But, man, I mean, look at these pictures, Stephen. They're pretty incredible.
So one thing I noticed is two of the runners up front are brothers Matthew and Jonathan Dale Martin. Very good runners. Sometimes I'll pass them on the Greenway, and they're running at sub-5-minute pace, and it's incredible to watch.
Now, for a runner like that, what is some of the prep work that needs to go into this to be at the front of that pack?
Sure. Any combination of easy runs, recovery runs, hill repeats, tempo runs, long runs, of course, and then the Norwegian method, actually, with the Ingebrigtsen Myler brothers, has made a certain type of training relevant in the last couple of years.
So that
called threshold training. Yes.
So
that's
that
gotten
pack
popular.
is heading by Bank of America Stadium right now. And again, we have 11 cameras throughout this 6-mile course to give you the best view. We're not just going to showcase these elite runners. We're going to showcase everyone running in this event, and we're going to showcase the city, because really we've seen such an incredible embrace from this city for this event and for running in general.
And take a look at that shot right there, just as those runners are coming around Bank of America Stadium. Again, like you mentioned, this is to showcase the city, and that's something we're trying to do with 11 cameras today to show off how beautiful this is, one, as a city, and two, as an event for the community. Stephen, I know you mentioned this is exciting for the running community here, and it's also inclusive. They want to get more people involved.
They do, and that's a good point, Hannah. And there are a lot of people involved, which is great. I know the city, if you go back a few decades ago, hosted the Olympic trials for the men's marathon. So this city has done great things. And when you think of race director Brian Mister, why does he start this race? Because he's stuck in traffic on 277, and he says, I want to shut down the highway and have a race here. So to see what it's come to is pretty impressive.
Now, you're going to see and hear from the three of us for most of this race. What you're not going to see is the massive technical setup that we have to get this on the air for you and to show you all these beautiful pictures. And what's very cool is you can choose what part of the race you want to see this morning. Do you have a friend running? Do you want to find out where they are? You could use our interactive map to see live cameras throughout this race from the course, and you can check out the view from our Chopper 9 Sky Zoom high above. You can also check out stories from the racers, see behind the scenes of the race, and try to find your friends or family in pictures from the course. That is live right now on our free app and our website. WSOCTV.com.
So you can check in with anyone. And actually right now, I think we want to go back and check in with that stroller runner who I believe is still ahead of the pack. Yep, still going strong. Take a look at that. Just looks like he has focus. And the baby as well. I mean, the focus in that child is just amazing to make it through and ahead of everyone else.
Steven, I mean, if you're looking at his pace and how is he comfortable? Is he, because this is kind of the long stretch on 277 on that inner loop that maybe can get, I don't want to say a little boring, but maybe a little boring.
Yeah, it's hard to tell how he's feeling. Is he saying to himself, you know what, I ran a little too hard on that first mile, and now that I'm up on 277, I'm questioning the early pace that I went out on? We don't know that for sure because you can't always tell the telltale signs by how the body is looking. You can tell a little bit better on a profile shot. But having said that, how far back of those chasing stroller runners, maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds. So remains to be seen if he stays out in front the whole way.
That's a pretty impressive pace there.
And I have a training question, too. I think this is, how do you train to get your newborn or your child to be in the stroller for this length of a run?
Well, I can answer that firsthand, and I know that when our babies were crying, we either put them in the stroller for a run or in the car for a drive, and it worked every time.
And you can see just how fast those elite runners are moving as they're overtaking some of the stroller runners in the back of the pack. Now, we anticipate that the winner of the stroller race is going to finish ahead of these elites, but, man, they are right on their heels, Steven. They're moving.
They are. And I'm looking at that lead pack. It's a pack of 4, and I have to make note of this. There's something that you want to do when you're running in a pack. You want to imagine that you're tied to a tether to the person that you're with. The leader of that pack is usually working the hardest, and the other runners can just have to focus on staying behind them. And if they can do that, if they can maintain contact, they could be in good shape and let them carry them closer to the finish.
See, we talked about the lead runner of the stroller race, but for these elites, is there how do you control your nerves? Because as soon as that starting gun fires, I mean, I would imagine you just want to take off. How do you kind of settle into your pace as quickly as you can?
Yeah, experience. You've done it over and over again. As I like to say, these runners are calloused. They've been doing this for years, and they know. And they're getting energy right now by passing these strollers. No disrespect to the strollers, but these runners, they're in a battle right now. And I'm watching Martin in third. He's trying to stay in contact with the second-place runner, and there's still a pack of 4. I think Nick Scudder is in there as well, who's a very good college runner. It's a good group. Chris Erner's up there.
You mentioned that tether technique. You want to feel like you're attached and pulling through. Phil mentioned, how do you get through the nerves? What is the mindset while you're out there? I mean, are you staying focused? Are you picking up from the energy? What is the go-to, technique to continue?
Yeah, good question. So these runners, every 5-7 seconds, they are doing a checklist throughout their body, making sure their jaw and their hands are relaxed, making sure their breathing is controlled, and that's a lot. But also, as you're controlling your breathing, you're trying to make sure that your foot strike into the ground is hard and that your back kick is coming up. And because what controls your pace is the multiplication of the stride rate, how often you step, and your stride length, how long your stride is. So those two factors determine how fast you run.
Now, we're focusing a lot on these elite runners, well-deserved as well, but I would just like to point out we are almost 7 minutes into this race here, and runners are still firing off the starting line. Just absolutely incredible pictures of this flow of humanity still running by us. If we could get a look at that start-finish line, just to see the folks still continue to pour out, it's really incredible. Again, 7,000 runners here for this event. It's really incredible.
And it's exciting because now we're starting to take these different camera shots, and you're seeing people up starting to get on the interstate, down here running past us. I mean, it is, if you're looking over the city, a sea of people, little ants just running through uptown Charlotte and really making this what they set it out to be is a look at the most beautiful, picturesque view of the city, all while people are getting together.
So for most of these runners, the time does matter. And the good news is for these runners that have taken 7 to 10 minutes to cross the start line, they don't have to fret with the advent of the chip time. So their time doesn't start until they cross the start line. So that's good. They're not losing that other time. So
I mean, if you're trying to set a personal best, if you're just running for fun, That's awesome, but a lot of these folks, I mean, even though they're some of the last across the line, like you said, Stephen, they're still going to get accurate times. And, man, I can't get over seeing this many people on 277, just the logistics that had to go through this to get this event on and to see it grow. It's just really incredible.
And, Stephen, for any runner out there, would this be an exciting course to run to get up there on the interstate? I know probably some of the people you know have done just about every course you could name, but this is very different.
Yes and no. Yes, because they shut it down, so that's great, right? In other words, when we're running on the sidewalk sometime, cars are beeping at you. So to have carte blanche, to have the highway to yourself, that's awesome. However, the flip side of that is that you're up on the highway and there's some climbs up there and they can be desolate at times, and it's a challenge just physically, mentally and physically demanding.
Is there any difficulty for these elites? It seems like the strollers are staying to one side as those elite runners try to pass those. That's just a courtesy, I would imagine.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
And Stephen, I know you mentioned before you're running through a checklist every few seconds about checking in with your body, how you're feeling. We're watching right now, for some people this might just look like people are just out there running, but there's so much more that goes into it. As you mentioned, even down to the clenching of your jaw and relaxing your body, because you're a machine in this race, and it's not just getting out there and running. There's a lot of prep work and technical things that go into it from your mind to your body.
Hannah, another good point and something that you bring up, which is so true. When you watch a Tiger Woods in golf or Ohtani in baseball, they get up to bat or they get ready to hit that golf ball. They're focused for that time, but as soon as they hit it and they watch where the ball goes, they're walking to the next shot. In running, it is constant. Once the gun goes off, that checklist and that form and that efficiency is paramount until they cross the start-finish line. Now, we look at those leaders, that last shot. Earlier on when we were talking, there were 5 runners. Now there's down to 3 in the lead pack, so 2 runners fell off the pace. So now what happens? Do they realize, well, the pace is too fast? Or, hey, I'm going back and this is going to be a long slide? Who knows? Remains to be seen, Hannah.
To put this event on is really an incredible undertaking. Around the Crown has several sponsors at this event, including Williams Subaru in Charlotte.
Yeah, Williams Subaru partners with organizations like the Arbor Day Foundation and Humane Society of Union County. The company's goal, make Charlotte a better, more sustainable place to live.
We've actually been able to plant over 38,000 trees across the globe with the Global Improvement Group. So we're really proud to offer that option to our customers to offset their carbon emission. We're also a certified Subaru eco-friendly retailer here at Williams Subaru. So what that means is we are a recycling facility, we conserve water, we have eco-friendly electricity options here. So we're trying to lessen our impact on Charlotte as much as possible, and that really aligns with Around the Crown 10K as well.
Now, Williams Subaru is also showing support on the ground. A group of employees are running in the 10K today. And we're going to take a quick break while the runners work toward the most grueling part of the race.
Coming up, finding a fresh start in running, how one woman says the sport got her through one of the worst periods of her life. Welcome back to our special live coverage of the Around the Crown 10K presented by Truist. There's a look at the leaders of the elite pack. They are moving, aren't they?
They are cruising along. So we are 14:55 in right now. Stephen, we know that's minutes, but how far should these runners be in the elite runners?
Sure. Sub 5-minute pace, so just past the 3-mile mark.
That is really, really incredible. All right, one guy who is not running a sub 5-minute pace, but we still want to check in with is our own Damani Lewis. Damani, can you hear us? Where are you and how are you feeling right now?
Oh, Phil, how you doing, buddy? I'm feeling great. I just passed the 1-mile marker, and I'm turning on to 277. But as I say that, I literally saw an accident here on 277 of a car that ran into a barrier. Paramedics are now here on scene. I don't know if Chopper 9 Sky Zooms can take a look at where the 1-mile marker is, but there's a car that flipped over, and I saw a number of runners racing over to try to get the people out of that car. But all of this is happening, again, at the 1-mile marker right off of 277. And a number of people can see what's going on right now. I have no word on the condition of the person, of the driver, or how many people are in the car. But this is still developing right now, guys.
Wow, Damani, we wanted kind of a fun check-in with you, but we have a little bit of news here. So that's, really incredible. It's also a testament to the work that goes in to keep the runners safe. We're obviously thinking about that driver and what happened. We're taking a live look at the pictures now.
And you can see, though, CMPD is out there. There's a police car checking in on them. It doesn't look like anyone's in a huge rush right now, which is usually, from all of us covering situations like this, a good thing. Medic pulling up right now. Again, this is running right alongside of the runners. It does look like everyone is taking it slow, which, again, is usually a good thing. But medic arriving, making sure that they're going to get that driver and make sure they're okay.
And, again, this event, a celebration of the city, a celebration of running, but at the core of it is making sure everybody stays safe. So those runners have stayed safe, and we are hoping that that driver is safe as well. Meanwhile, taking a live look at the elite leader of this event from Chopper 9 Sky Zoom. So, Steven, as you said, sub 5 minute mile. So we're over halfway. Not quite over half. I'm bad at math here. You're gonna have to help me out.
Yeah, no, you're right. Right about halfway. A 10K is 6.2 miles. I have to mention, Phil, as I'm looking at the leader, he's on an agenda. He has never needed help from when he was in the pack of 5. He was setting the pace, and he's almost like an onion peel. He has stripped away all his competitors, and it is his race to win, and he's taking advantage of it. And
so,
at this point, I don't see him getting caught.
If you are chasing him, trying to chase him down, what is your mindset there? Like, how do you stay positive?
Yeah, so your mindset is to try to minimize the damage, because at this point, in only a 10K race, you're not going to come back and catch him at this point because you've already fallen back this late in the race.
Especially when you come to this portion of the race. This is the Queen's Climb, the hardest part of the race. Now, the elite runners are not quite here yet. It's about a half-mile hill, a half-mile of incline along I-277.
Yeah, we've all driven it, but running it is, I would assume, a very different story. When you're hitting an incline like that, Stephen, what should you be doing? What should your body be going through? What should you be telling yourself?
Yeah, lactate is building up in the blood, and it can be forcing you to slow down. One thing I have to mention is in any race that you run, there comes a point where you have to make a decision. And that decision is, when it's time to go, are you going to go? And the challenge is, you're at a very subjective state. You're very uncomfortable, and your mind may be telling you, no, I need to slow down, but your body wants to do it, but sometimes it can't. And that's the battle that you're facing, and who makes that decision. And only you know when you've crossed the finish line if you've given what you've had on that day.
Stephen, you've run courses all over. When you have, we could agree this is the most challenging part of the course, that half-mile climb. Would you prefer that to be at the beginning of the race, at the end of the race, or kind of right smack in the middle where it is now?
Good question. Again, if you're having a good day, it doesn't matter. Okay. If you're having a bad day, it doesn't matter. So I would say get it over earlier and make it all downhill from there.
So we just got note the first elite runner is approaching that stroller. If we could go and get to that shot and see what's happening. Now, you mentioned, Phil asked you, if you're behind, how do you stay positive? If you're ahead, how do you keep a good mindset so that, you don't get caught up or someone catches up to you?
Again, you're just trying to manage your energy levels. You have so much energy to use in a 30 to 40-minute race. And the ones that can manage the energy the best are the ones that have the most success for them. Obviously, everybody's at a different starting point from a fitness level. But as you can see, our leader and our second-place finisher is behind him. But from this angle, you can't tell how far behind Scudder is from the leader. But eventually, he may come up on and pass the lead stroller. And that lead stroller is no joke. He's running a fast clip.
But that just speaks to how elite these elite runners are, to be able to run him down with a 5-minute head start. Now, he is pushing a baby. So,
Right.
but I'm worried about that baby's going to slip back into second place here. I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
I'd knock him back into third, that runner behind the stroller. And you can see that. So one of the things I'm noticing is when he's turning around, it's worrying about pacing and then also keeping control of that stroller. I'm sure they're meant to move with you, and there are some very great quality strollers out there that can move just as fast as you're pushing it, but it's really kind of getting a handle on everything. It's more than just you in that race.
Yeah, again, as the arms go, the legs follow. And if your arms are tied up by holding a jogger, it's more challenging. And here we go. We've already seen, it looks like we've seen the pass with the lead runner passing the lead stroller. And there you go. So now what's his? So he's taken something from that. He's gotten energy from that pass, even though they were in a different category of the race. But you look at, so we have a number on him?
Yeah, it looks like 163. It looks like that's Ricky Flynn.
So that's Ricky Flynn. So
yeah.
can I tell you something about Ricky Flynn?
Please, yeah.
Check this out. Ricky was the 12th place finisher in the 2012 Olympic Marathon Trials.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, that was 3 cycles ago at 12 years. But you know what? That's some serious fitness right there to finish 12th place.
Now, as you zoom out from Chopper 9 Sky Zoom, our plan was to have a lead car in front of the pack at all times until the finish. What we did not anticipate is the guy that finished 12th at the 2012 Olympic Marathon Trials to be passing our lead car 22 minutes into this race. So that is pretty impressive. That is pretty incredible. So we're going to pick this thing up from Chopper 9 Sky Zoom and our other 11 cameras throughout this course. So we'll make sure to get a good look from him. But, yeah, we have Devin in that blue car.
Trying to catch up to him.
Trying to pass him, and I don't know if he can do it.
So, again, that's Ricky Flynn. He's out of Greenville, South Carolina. And, again, as I look at his form, his stride rate, his stride length, he's pumping his arms. He just looks so dialed in to the road in front of him and getting to the finish line as quick as he can.
Now, what does it take to kind of get to that position where you're competing in Olympic trials?
A little bit of talent, a little bit of luck, and a lot of hard work and consistent hard work. You want to string weeks and weeks of training together, uninjured, to put yourself in a position. But let's not forget, you need some talent.
Now, is that a grimace or is that a smile? I can't quite tell.
Right.
It looks like he's happy to be ahead, but he's really pushing himself.
Yeah, I've never trained with him, so I'm not going to say. But he's borderline on he looks pretty pleased from that close-up shot.
I mean, he is neck and neck with that lead car right now. They are just racing literally to the finish line to see who's going to win, and he's certainly giving that Subaru a run for its money.
It's pretty incredible.
That is impressive.
All right, so now we're 24 minutes into this race, so we're kind of coming down. He's conquered the Queen's Climb. Now he's back into Uptown. What's the mindset to kind of make sure you kick and finish strong here, Stephen?
The mindset is keep doing what I'm doing. It's working, and as you can see, the runners that he was running with are nowhere in sight now. So he's doing what he needs to be doing, and that is to just keep putting one foot in front of the other and running as strong as he can to the finish. He's in good shape.
What are these moments like, Stephen, when you're getting to pass the Truist cheer station and see all of those fans, maybe your family cheering you on? If I'm sure if you lose a bit of hope or steam at some point, that certainly can pick you back up again.
Very simply, you're taking energy from the crowd, no question about it.
Yeah, this is the Truist cheer station here. Those employees you see decked out in their purple cheering on these racers. You need that little boost, or at least I would certainly if I were at this portion of the race. So the sponsor of this race, our partners here, we're grateful for them and really everyone that's been lining this course cheering these folks on.
So, Phil, I just saw a runner go around the Truist sign, and you mentioned that he actually put his hands up, kind of amping up the crowd, and that was Mike McMillan, who's a very strong runner. I think he finished 33:20 at last year's race, top 20 finish. So,
does it truly help when you're feeling that from the crowd? I mean, do you have a moment where in your running career where you have a favorite moment of I saw my family or I saw someone or I saw the crowd where it really pushed you through?
Well, I remember running actually right here in town, the Charlotte Marathon, and I think I was in third place, and I was running down Moorhead Street, and I had a lead vehicle in front of me, and I saw Chuck Spencer, a local runner, and he said to me, he goes, Steven, he goes, today's your day. And I said, what the heck does that mean? Anyway, I ended up, finishing as I did, and great experience.
So we saw the second place runner momentarily in that shot. If we could maybe zoom out from Chopper 9 Sky Zoom to maybe see that gap between first and second, it's pretty significant. I mean, it's you were saying maybe 30 seconds. I mean, it's tough to see right here, but there's the leader.
One runner.
There's the leader.
Boy, he's pretty comfortable. We don't want to lose him in the tree line
Right.
there, but that's a sizable gap, Stephen.
It is. Yeah, I mean, you can't see him back in the distance. And I would love to get a number on him. I believe, just looking at his long flowing locks, that's Nick Scudder, who was a great college runner. I want to get clarification on that. But again, he's climbing a little bit of a hill now. Our leader is Ricky Flynn, and he's still pumping his arms, and he looks good enough to me. But again, this is a climb, and it's late in the race, and no matter what, that puts stress on the body.
And we have a list of elite runners here, and, going down, the numbers climb. But it really can be anybody's race. And as you mentioned, somebody said to you, this is your day. That might be what he's thinking in his head, because he's just coming up and taking over.
Yeah, well, someone that's finished 12th in the Olympic marathon trials, they've had a few good days in their career, no doubt. And it's funny, I mentioned 12th. There's another runner in the field who I spoke with before she took off, Megan Hovis, and she actually finished 12th as well in the 2008 Olympic trials. And she finished ahead of a lady by the name of Desiree Davila. Most runners know her as Des Linden. So that's pretty impressive stuff. So we got a lot of good runners, a lot of good talent in the Charlotte area.
Boy, I mean, we're trying to catch that second runner, and still not in frame here, as Ricky Flynn has left our view as well. I think that may be the second place finisher. So I mean, maybe 40 seconds. That's just me guessing. But Stephen, when you're competing in events like this and you're trying to hit your pace and make sure you're staying disciplined, at what point do you kind of cut it loose and just go for it?
Well, that's another good question, and that's what I mentioned earlier is with a good race, you're trying to connect your start to your finish. It's very hard to stay focused for 30 to 40 minutes, but some people can do it. And again, that is connecting that start where everybody feels good for the first 2.5 miles. But then in a 10K race, there's that 2-mile window from 2 to 4 where, you may be losing it. And then you got to start thinking about the finish line. So if you can connect those two, you're having a good day.
Yeah, and we're getting word that he's getting pretty close to the finish line at this point, which is amazing. I feel like we just got here, and he's already wrapping this up. It'll be exciting to see those moments. And as these runners, you can see the focus on their faces. And you can even see some of the kids focusing as well. As I mentioned in the stroller, it takes two.
Right, right.
So we're at the 29-minute mile mark here. So at that pace, I mean.
Oh, yeah. Phil, I expect them to come in somewhere in the 29-minute mark. Here we are now, so it should be shortly.
And we're actually getting a view right now
turned the corner,
of
Hannah.
Flynn coming around that line. We are head on looking at him as he approaches. This is exciting stuff.
And he's still, I'll tell you what, he is still moving as fast as we saw when they took off. So here he comes to the finish line, coming down Mint Street, and I don't see anyone behind him.
And the cheering is starting to pick up behind us as he approaches that finish line in between our lead car and a CMPD motorcycle.
Hannah, he sees the clock. He
smiling.
Sees the magic 30-minute barrier. It's going to be close. He's got 7 seconds to make it. He's pumping his arms. Let's get him under the barrier. Does he do it? He does.
Oh, my goodness.
I had him at 29.59. I hope that's what he got.
Because that's kind of that magic mark, Stephen, I would imagine, for that 6K.
It is. 10K. Yes, it
10K,
is.
I'm sorry.
You're right. And here comes our second-place finisher. And again, this looks like Nick Scudder. It is. It's Nick Scudder with a great run. 30 minutes
and
low,
those
under
final
30-30.
strides look strong as he finishes out at about 30-29.
30-29.
And Nick ran at Millbrook High School and also UNCC. So he's a 49er, and they just first and second place. And there you go. Look at his singlet, Millbrook.
Wow.
Taking it back old school, but matriculated onto UNCC. And here's our third place runner coming.
bib number 138.
138 on this.
John Tatter out of Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
So he's going to come in just under the 31-minute mark at 30:59. Another impressive performance.
Yeah, so John Tatter, he ran at Chapel Hill, and he's run 28 and change for 10K. And here comes one of the Martins coming in. Let's see which one it is.
And you mentioned that's a brother.
25.
It's two brothers that are started together.
Yes, Matthew and Jonathan Dale Martin.
So that's Jonathan, 125.
There you go.
So he left his brother behind. That's not very.
And now as I'm looking, I recognize I've run with some of these runners. Yeah.
Stephen, what are these moments like as you're getting close to the finish line? You said, he sees that beautiful mark. What are these last few strides, last 10 seconds like?
Yeah, get to the finish line as soon as I can.
Right. All gas, no brakes at the end right here.
Yeah, Hannah, we just had Chris Zerner and now Beck Classy just crossed the finish line. Naval Academy runner, another one of the Martin brothers is coming in now. This is a who's who of Charlotte running.
And again, just like we said, this is and here comes our stroller winner right here.
Yes, coming in at
that's not a bad time.
Under
He's gonna be under 32:30 here as he finishes. The baby's going to finish 1 second ahead of him. I don't know where you put that chip. I don't know if you put the chip at the front of the stroller or if he's got to wear it in his bib, but feels like that baby has a pretty good time.
And
that's going to be a tough
place.
PR for that baby to beat.
And Phil, here's second place baby jogger, and that's Chris Capps.
Take a look at this shot right here, Stephen, as we look down on the monitor of they're celebrating together, stuffed animal included in that. In that race. That's so exciting, and what a moment they can share together eventually when that child is old enough to say, hey, I crossed the finish line with my dad.
And the runner couldn't be more happy. And now he's going to congratulate the second place stroller, Chris Capps. Impressive stuff.
What are those conversations like when, everybody's starting to cross that finish line and they get together and they're high-fiving and fist bumping?
Give me a second to catch my breath.
Right.
But then after that, Hannah, it's maybe how you felt. Were you pleased? What were you thinking? Where did it start to hurt? They may have slayed a dragon. They may have passed someone maybe that they didn't think they could. That's what plays into it. Yeah.
Now this race may be over, but we have plenty more coverage. We're going to be here as runners continue to finish. They're going to run right by this set. We have plenty more stories. We're going to have the men's winner. We're going to have the women's winner join us live. So we have plenty more ahead. And Stephen, we talked a lot about it, but as you're here, as you're seeing these runners finish, what are your kind of emotions as somebody that's been kind of so deeply ingrained in the running community for so long?
Again, just the way that this race has expanded over the short 6 years. That's really what's got me. People heard about it 6 years ago, and they thought, that'd be pretty cool. They're going to shut down 277. Yeah, let's do it. And everybody just got behind it. And hats off to Brian Mister, race director, and his wife Chelsea for getting this off the ground. And it's a big undertaking for them, and what they've been able to do is astonishing to me.
Yeah, it really is incredible. It really is and not just the runners that are competing, but the number of people out here to support those runners. I mean, you can hear them cheering behind us, and they've been scattered throughout the course. There's
the baby.
There's the actual winner
of the stroller
race. Where a lot of people are talking about who pushed the stroller. That baby's the winner.
Llama in hand. I think that's a stuffed llama there. I'm sure contributed. Even the matching Nike onesie with Dad's running gear as well is the perfect touch to that.
That's awesome.
Okay, so Stephen, we are going to ask you to step aside really quick, and we're going to bring in our winner, Ricky Flynn, momentarily, and watch those steps down. And Ricky, come on up here.
Oh, don't worry about it. Go ahead. Good job. That's awesome. 12th and 12.
Got you all tangled up. Ricky, congratulations. Great to meet you. Great to meet you. You are nothing but sweaty. I can testify that right
now. There's a hot one out there.
All right, so my first question for you, Ricky, because we saw you, was it a smile or was it a grimace for those last couple of miles?
Everyone asks me that. Well, it's never a smile. It's always a grimace.
But it looks good. It looks like a smile, so you could pass it off. It looked like you were having fun that entire time. Tell us how you were feeling.
I felt okay. I had a rough week, so been tired and I don't know, just run down and possibly sick. So to come out here and get the win was a satisfaction for sure. But I'm not going to lie, it was a little harder than I expected it to be. So.
Can you tell me about the Queens climb, that half-mile climb, about halfway through that race? How difficult was that?
I was expecting it to be harder, just like everyone making a big deal about it. It's longer and gradual. I thought it was going to be steeper. I knew it's about a half mile, which it was, but I expected it to be steeper. I wasn't, too much slower going up that versus the rest of my miles, but I knew that was kind of looming the first 3 miles, and I expected to see it sooner. But then once I got to the top, I was like, okay, I got that done. Now let's focus on the rest of the race. And it's nice because you get to go down the hill at the top. So
now we have some of our women's finishers coming in right now, including our winner. So we are going to catch up with her momentarily. But before you go anywhere, Ricky, just in terms of your race, how you ran it, are you pleased with it? Is that the time that you were looking for?
Yeah, I wasn't really worried about time too much today with the weather, the humidity, and the hills. But I was pleasantly surprised with what my finishing time was. I'm usually right around there, pretty consistent at this point in time this year with my fitness. So I was happy with it. I think on a cooler day, it would have been a little bit faster for sure.
All right, Ricky, coming off a sick week, you said a hard week, not sure how you're going to finish today. Thank you so much for joining us, our men's elite winner. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
All right, Ricky, thank you. And we're going to take a look at the top 5 finishers right now. Again, Ricky Flynn out of Greenville, South Carolina is our winner. And if we can take a look at the top 5, there they are. Nicholas Scudder coming in second. John Tatter coming in third. Jonathan Martin coming in fourth. And Paul Domenech coming in fifth. We are going to take a quick break from the Around the Crown 10K. We'll be back with Steven Spada and our women's finisher after this.
Welcome back to our special coverage of Around the Crown. This has been an exciting morning, but we're not done yet. There's a lot of prep work and a lot of things that go into making this happen, and Viva Chicken is a big supporter of Around the Crown.
They got involved when Brian Mister, who's the race director, approached them about it. Of course, he loves their chicken.
The Around the Crown race is very homegrown. We're a very homegrown company. We love to be down in the community. So being a part of one of the biggest races in North Carolina was a huge sell for us.
Viva Chicken was at the Race Expo yesterday. They'll also have their food truck at the after party at Noda Brewing, welcoming Steven Spada back in as these runners finish. They're looking forward to that party, I would imagine, including our women's winner, Paige Hofstad, and you have a connection to Paige.
Yeah, I don't know her personally, but Paige Hofstad was a Tar Heel, ran at Carolina, and she and my daughter, Sophie, ran at the NCAA cross-country championships a couple years ago.
And what's it like for you, as a dad to see these kids that you probably grew up or, watched them grow up running and competing to see them at an elite level like this?
Yeah, I think the greatest thing is that they keep doing it if they can, because running is something that you can do for a long time. So that's probably the best thing, is that they didn't get burned out and that they were continue to be able to do it and enjoy it. That's probably the biggest thing.
We are continuing to see that stream of humanity come down Min Street and post their finishing times. Now, as you look at that clock, that is from 7:30 when the elite runners ran. But, Stephen, as you were telling us, that chip in their bib marks their time as far as when they started. They might have started a little bit later. But, it's fun for me to see these folks coming down Mint and really trying to push themselves to beat that time.
And that's another one of our fantastic shots of just the 7,000 people that are out here today competing and running and enjoying the city and a real community event. I know we mentioned before, Stephen, but for you as, a big member of the Charlotte running community, what does it mean for you to see this much excitement around an event like this?
Well, yeah, when I think of Charlotte, how it's growing as a running community, when you think of just the trail system alone, we've always had McAlpine, which has hosted the high school cross-country championships, but we have McMullen, and we have Little Sugar Creek Greenway, and we have the light rail line. When you think of those four systems for runners to run. That's awesome, even off the city streets.
All right, we have Paige Hofstede joining us here in just 2 minutes. Before we get to that, we're taking a live look at some of these finishers, and now some of the finishers are in the Mad Miles Run Club.
Yeah, Mad Miles is one of the largest run clubs that participates in Around the Crown, and this year they have a very big goal.
All right, it's time to get some moment about your bodies.
Every Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday, you can find more than 100 people running as a pack.
It's good to just get out there and get active with the Charlotte running community.
Cornell Jones ran track and cross country at Winston-Salem State. He says it wasn't just his passion that launched Mad Miles Run Club. It was a push to make sure more people like him were seen at the finish line.
My first year at Around the Crown, I had that same feeling. I was in the corral, I was at the front, and I was looking to my left, I looked to my right, I was like, oh, all right, I probably can count the black people on my hands. The running scene around the world looks very different. It's very mixed. It's very, young, old, black, white, everything.
This year, the group is bringing 140 people to run Around the Crown.
Here we go, 1, 2, 3, scoop it out.
But Jones is shooting higher and hopes to take their mission outside the Queen City.
We love Charlotte. We love representing in Charlotte, but our next steps are going to places like Chicago Marathon, where we have 10 people signed up, the New York Marathon, Tokyo Marathon, all of the world majors, and representing what Mad Miles, what Charlotte is.
Joining us now, we have Paige Hofstede, the women's elite winner. Congratulations to you. And we actually, I think, have that moment where you're crossing the finish line as you're joining us now with your new medal. If we can take a look at that. Tell us how that was feeling when you were hitting that sweet spot and approaching that finish line.
I was pretty gassed, to be completely honest with you. There's a pretty hard hill on this course around mile 4, so the last 2 miles pretty hard, but I had some men to run with in front of me, so we just got through it. But as soon as I saw the finish line about 400 meters out, I tried to kick it in as hard as I could, but I was excited to see the finish line, that's for sure.
We made a big deal about that Queen's Climb. How difficult was it? How challenging was it?
It was about, I think the elevation gain is like 100 feet when we looked at it before we started the race, so it was pretty tough. I think it's about 20 seconds difference per mile, so it was a pretty tough climb, but luckily after we had a little bit of a downhill, but then the last mile was kind of uphill as well, so definitely tough 4th mile.
Did you imagine that this is how you would finish today?
I was hoping for a first place finish, but we had a really great elite field of women here today and then some great men to run with as well. So, I imagined in my head, but anything could happen. I just wanted to put in a good effort, and I felt like I did that today, so it worked out great.
Can you just give us a sense of what your thoughts on the course? We're very proud of this Around the Crown 10K event in Charlotte. What did you think of the course in general?
I thought it was great. This is my first time here, and we saw the results last year, and some of our friends that are also runners had a really great time at this race a year ago, so we thought we would give it a try, and I thought the course was really honest. So I thought it was great. I thought it was a really great competition as well, so it was really exciting.
Did you say the course was honest?
Honest course.
What does that mean?
That means it's not too easy, not extremely hard like all hills, but really good neutral in between.
Now, a big part of this is, taking in the beauty of the city. I know you were probably laser focused, but at any point did you say, wow, I'm running on the interstate right now, looping around the skyline?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I've never run on an interstate before, so I definitely, going up the hill kind of to distract myself a little bit, I looked over and I just saw the skyline, so it was pretty cool to run on the highway like that. But no, it was a super great race. I really enjoyed it, and that part of it was super cool for sure.
Last question for you. You're used to dealing with the humidity. How were the conditions out there weather-wise?
I'm from North Carolina and Raleigh, so it's been a pretty hot week, and I'm also from Texas, so the humidity was, it was pretty bad, but I'm used to it, but that's what you got to deal with in North Carolina, that's for sure.
Paige Hofstede, our women's winner. Paige, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Congratulations. A very exciting day. Paige, thank you so much for being here. This is just one of the many people who will cross that finish line today.
All right. Paige, thanks for joining us as we continue to see these runners along that course. And, now if you take a look at our screen, is that – I'm looking for the lime green shirts.
There's so many lime green shirts now.
We really want to try to find Damani here. as that runner rounds that.
There's Damani right there. We see Damani. I
There
think
he
that's
is.
him.
He's rounding that Truist cheer station as the good folks at Truist continues. There he is, looking into our camera.
Feeling good.
He's feeling a lot better than he was when we were talking to him earlier. And we're going to get him up here when he finishes as he crosses that Truist cheer station. But, Stephen, first of all, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your insights so much. Can you just give us your final thoughts on this race, not just the elite race, but this just event in general?
Yeah, so while I was off the air, I talked to probably 15 runners that I know from the area and even out of the area, competitors against my daughter, whoever, and they all said the same. They said, man, it was tough out there. I know when I got up this morning, my fingers were sticky, so we knew the weather was going to be a bear, and it was a challenge for these competitors. So a combination of the weather and the course, those two things were not in the runners' favors today. Having said that, in talking to the two winners, both on the men's and women's side, they were able to press through and have phenomenal races. So hats off to them.
And with that, mentioning how the runners, how you feel about the race in general, but what about, this community aspect, about everyone coming together? Kind of what are your thoughts? I know you work with young athletes and you run yourself. What does it mean for everyone to join in for something like this?
It means a lot. And to be a part of this community, you mentioned the sustainability earlier, leaving a place better than you found it, and all of those factors come into play. And at the end of the day, you had a good experience. And yeah, it's about the exercise, but it's also about the camaraderie, and it's crossing the finish line and then having those meaningful conversations with your friends and foes alike that you can take and grow from.
Well, Stephen, we do appreciate your time so much. I am not a runner. I do not. You gave us incredible insight into what these elite runners were thinking. But beyond that, you have such an appreciation for the sport and for the city. I think that really shone through. So we really are very grateful that you were able to spend some time with us.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing us into the running community and bringing anyone at home that's not out here today to let them know and get them educated on what this sport can mean.
So if I could just close with, you think of Charlotte running and the history of what's happened here, and I think of three names emerge in my mind. One is Jim Beatty, who was the first runner to run a 4-minute mile indoor back in the late 50s, I think 1958 in L.A. And then I think of Reggie McAfee, who was the first African-American to break the 4-minute barrier. And then most recently in the Olympic Games in Paris, Anna Cockrell finishes with a silver medal in the one lap with hurdles. So we got some big prominent people in this town.
One more time, Stephen Spada, the 2000 Charlotte Marathon winner. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank
now,
you
one of
both.
the goals of Around the Crown is to make sure anyone who wants to run is able to.
Channel 9's Erica Jackson shares how a group that's been around since the 70s is making that possible.
Some of Zoe Calhoun's favorite childhood memories include running 5Ks with friends, but she has Williams syndrome, which causes chronic pain and makes that impossible as an adult.
It starts really fast, like my pain. I'll start running or walking and then it'll just start and I can't finish.
Despite her physical challenges, Calhoun is on a racing team for Around the Crown.
People like me who have chronic pain can't really run, so it was very inclusive for all people who can't run.
You're not running for yourself, you're running for someone else. And even before you hit the first mile, you think, oh my God, can I really do this?
Alex Noriega and two other runners are pushing Calhoun in an adaptive racing chair. They met through the nonprofit The Ability Experience. 22 runners will push 9 athletes in racing chairs during this year's 10K.
And they really focus on creating inclusive sporting or athletic events for people with disabilities.
The other runners have some tough competition this year. Calhoun and Noriega won first place in 2023 in their division. And Calhoun crossed the finish line on her 2 feet.
I told them when I wanted to get out of the wheelchair and they went, and then they stopped me and then I got out and I ran and it was like, yay!
Calhoun says she's excited to run alongside thousands of other athletes and be a part of one of the biggest races in Charlotte.
And you can still be with everybody and they cheer you on and you don't feel like, oh, I can't run. It's okay that you can't run because you're running in a different way.
In Uptown, Erica Jackson, Channel 9, Eyewitness News.
I absolutely love that story. We are taking a live look from Chopper 9 Sky Zoom as the 7,000 runners that participate in this event continue on this course, and we will be right back with plenty more coverage of the Around the Crown 10K.
Here we go.
Welcome back. We are joined now by another one of our elite competitors. Stephen Salisbury is here at the start-finish line with us. Stephen, first of all, I asked you how you were feeling. You said everything hurts, and you don't know why you keep running. So my question to you is, why do you keep coming back to this event year after year?
I don't know. It's cheaper than therapy, so it's it's again, look at the atmosphere here today. So it's really cool to see everyone out here and everyone's here for the same goal. And this is a great experience. So.
Now, you've been doing this since the beginning. This is, I believe, your 6th time doing Around the Crown. Tell us about why you keep coming back every year. I know we just made the joke about it, but I mean, why this race?
I mean, it's just seeing how it has evolved from the beginning to what it is now. Like this whole production, like you're interviewing me right now, which is crazy. So just seeing that whole and just being a part of it. And I mean, there's close how thousands of people here. It brings everyone out. And I met a lot of people yesterday at the expo from like Georgia, California and stuff. So it's cool to bring people out of town, seeing our city and being a part of it.
Yeah, that homegrown Charlotte running talent that we love. You may recognize Stephen from when Hunter Sainz profiled him at the beginning of the show. First of all, I know Hunter was grateful that you dialed back your pace a little bit so he could run with you for that interview. But tell me about your training and your preparation for this event. Has it kind of evolved throughout the years as you learn more about the course?
Yes, a lot more hills because that hill in 277 is no joke. So luckily in South Charlotte I have a lot of hills in my neighborhood, so I train up those a lot. As for like training purposes, I kind of do within the marathon training cycle. So training for Montreal, and this is just a great race to have in the middle of it. So,
did you get a moment to take in the views of the city and check out the skyline and really take in as that sun was rising this morning, or were you laser focused?
I was walking to the start. It was really cool. Like just seeing everything. You see the lights and everybody like cheering. So that was awesome. As for on the race, I was just looking straight ahead, trying not to fall, especially because I saw the cameras everywhere. So I was like, I don't want to be that guy. So
right, pressure was on a little bit.
Yeah, it was.
Stephen, over the past, you've seen this event grow since year one. To have 7,000 runners out here, what does that speak to Charlotte? Not just as a running city, as a city where people want to come and compete, either competitively or just for fun.
I mean, it's awesome just to being a part of how it has grown. And again, you get everyone from, we had Olympic athletes to, everyday people from going from couch to 5K. So I just love how it's so inclusive and just bringing everyone together and just really showing off Charlotte what we have here.
And not just the competitors, but the fans that are lined up. I mean, there are hundreds, thousands of people kind of cheering you on. What did that do for you?
I love people when you're going under the bridges. I love that. That's my favorite part. Seeing everyone on the bridges cheering for people. And then, because it can get a little desolate out there on the highway, but when you go on those bridges and just see people cheering, it's awesome.
We were asking our expert before, does it actually give you a boost when you run into those groups of people cheering?
Oh, absolutely. Because I don't want to be the person that's getting passed as they're, cheering for people. So
you want to keep it up.
Absolutely.
Well, Stephen Salisbury has competed in this event every year. We're so grateful for your time and your insight on the course. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We talked about that fan support. We're going to take a live look now at the Truist cheer station as the good folks at Truist, our partners, continue to carry on those cheer on those folks as they round that corner and continue on with this race. Just it's so much fun. I didn't know what to expect out here today for our coverage, but it's been so fun to see Charlotte really wrap their arms around the running community and the running community to come out and compete 7,000 strong. Really incredible.
And growing every year, which is a really exciting thing. As we talk to all these people involved, they are just excited to see an event like this get bigger and bigger. They're excited to have people participating. And, running can be for everyone, whether you're cheering on or you're just coming out to participate yourself. There are so many ways to get involved, and this is really, as we mentioned before, a way to show off the city, show off the community, and show off a culture of healthy living in Charlotte, which is definitely something we're seeing here today, which is very exciting.
Now, some runners that we see competing, some of the 7,000 strong, do use exercise as an escape. One woman says she was going through a really hard time.
Yeah, and her friend tried to help her through it. Channel 9's Emmy Darkari explains that she didn't realize the difference one run would make.
Kemny Cordero says running saved her life. After 2 years of battling depression, she says that physical exercise was the catalyst to helping her improve her mental health and rediscover who she is.
Going back to COVID where we had no community, then after that I got divorced and I really felt alone. I felt like I had nobody. And then being able to have this community of runners, it's been amazing because it's been able to help me to find that happiness again and find myself again.
2 years ago, Kemny Cordero went through what she calls the worst period of her life. She got divorced, felt like she lost everything, and was formally diagnosed with depression, leading her to take some medication for her mental health.
I was going through a lot at that time, and thankfully my pup Zoe that I had was the one that actually got me out to even just start walking.
Her journey to recovery started step by step with Zoe, but took a sprint in January of this year, when one of her friends took her to a running club and made her fall in love with the sport.
Literally less than half a mile to begin with. And then my friends, introduced me to different running clubs, and then I started running 3 and 5 miles every other day.
Running gave Kemny a new sense of purpose, letting her reflect and leave behind with every step.
Running basically helped me to get through the tough thoughts. Because it allowed for me to be able to process them. It allowed for me to be able to not dwell on them, because after my run, I said, all right, I'm done. I'm putting that at rest. I'm leaving them where they are, and I'm able to keep going.
She says her mental health has improved in such a significant way that she no longer needs to take medication, and encourages women who are undergoing a similar situation not to give up.
This is just a season, and you're going to be able to get through it. It's just, what are you choosing to focus on?
For her, Around the Crown is the end of an era. It's the perfect end to a season of pain and the renewal of hope for what's yet to come.
I can look back at it, and anytime anything gets hard or my thoughts get in my head, I can say, you know what? If I could do Around the Crown, then I can do whatever's next coming up.
To Kemly, running her first 10K is proof that no matter the obstacles or hills, there is always a smoother path ahead. Now an experienced runner, Kemly has her sights set on the Charlotte Half Marathon. Emmy Darkari, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Taking a live look from Chopper 9 Sky Zoom as Damani Lewis is motoring to the finish. We've seen him elbowing folks out of the way, trying to beat the time that he needed to.
Rumor has it he pushed a kid out of the way.
No. Let's be careful here. Damani is gassed. We're going to bring him up here momentarily. We talked to him mid-race, and he was a little out of breath, so that might have affected his time just a bit. But, man, he was really motoring to the finish.
He was cruising to the end. Now another Channel 9 runner here, Hunter Sines, joining us live, our crime reporter. This is your first time running this today. How was it?
It's exhilarating. I ran the half marathon here. This is kind of a whole different thing. I mean, running on 277 is just so surreal. You're used to driving it, but man, do you feel the hills that you don't ever experience when you're in the car.
Yeah, what was that? We've been asking everybody about the Queens climb. How grueling is that? How tough was that? Because, I mean, we're used to sitting there in traffic not moving.
So here's the thing. I didn't do a whole lot of research on the course before I ran. So we turned the hill, turned the 277. I'm running with my husband, and he goes, all right, here it is. And I was like, what do you mean here it is? And I look up, and I see the hill. And so I knew something regarding this hill, but thank you for informing me. It is called the Queens Hill. It's the last one of the entire race, and then you enter Uptown. And like I said, go and you turn into Uptown, I thought we were coming up this one for the finish line. No, they loop you all the way back around in front of the stadium and then make you come uphill. So a lot of surprising turns when you don't do your research.
Yeah, in our logistics meeting, I believe we did have them coming down MLK here. So, an extra couple of blocks. What's an extra couple of blocks
At
between
6
friends?
miles, it's nothing.
For an athlete like you, I'm sure
No,
you
no.
crushed it. And I know that you mentioned before your husband said he got dragged out here with you, but he was the one that researched and knew that that hill was coming, and you were just out here for a good time.
Correct, and he was the one that got me through the last mile because we were with a pacer going all the way through it. I started going, all right, I got to pull back. He was like, no, we crossed together. So, but that's what this environment's about. Like, you see people running with strollers. It's so inspiring to see them just pushing up these hills of 277 that you don't realize are hills. But if they can do it, you have the mentality that you too can do it. People are cheering each other on. There is nothing like it when you're running under the bridges of 277 and you see people cheering above you. It's a really cool experience.
We just talked to Steven Salisbury, who you profiled at the beginning of the show, and he said the exact same thing. When you're running under those bridges and people are cheering, just how Charlotte has embraced the running community and is out here to support. What does that mean to you as an avid runner?
Yeah, it's really neat. I mean, talk about a running community. I've lived, in New York, Wisconsin, here. There's nothing quite like the running community here in Charlotte. I was with Morning Miles Thursday morning for the first time trying it out, and it's been in 15 weeks, and it has just gone bonkers with a lot of runners. I mean, it's in Dilworth. That's one of so many. All these breweries have it. Everybody goes out there to build community. That's their big purpose, and the running is kind of on the back burner. It's just a fun addition to it. So it's really neat. But I also have to thank you guys for putting me on right after an elite runner. I really appreciate that.
It's the least we could do. And, of course, have you just crossed the finish line. But I know that you are a huge advocate for the city of Charlotte and the community here. So I know this means a lot to you. It means a lot to all the people here. Hunter Signs, thank you so much for joining us after your 10K. We really appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to our continuing live coverage of the Around the Crown 10K as 7,000 runners have taken over Uptown and are competing in this 6.2-mile event. And as you would imagine, with 7,000 participating, some people are finishing this race for the first time.
Yeah, Channel 9's Dinesh Broom learned how a first-timer trained and how she's encouraging others to try new things too.
I'm excited, very nervous, but excited. But yeah, I'm ready. My knees aren't, but I am.
Drea Hannibal has been training for this day for the last few months. She used to run more before giving birth to her training partner, 4-year-old Joshua.
Ready? Go.
Now, with the help of peer pressure from a coworker, she'll be running her first ever 10K during the Around the Crown race.
Yeah, a friend of mine was like, hey, do the race with me. And I went ahead and paid, and then my friend says, hey, I'm not going to make it. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm committed. And so a coworker was like, so you're just going to jump straight into a 10K? Have you done a 5K? I said, no, I haven't done a 5K, but we'll see Sunday if I could do the 10. So I'm here.
She's been using a training program provided by Around the Crown to get ready. For weeks, she has pounded the pavement, depending on the weekly regimen, and despite some aches here and there, she feels ready to see the Queen City in a new way.
I did have little kinks. I had, a few muscle cramps here and there. Reached out to some friends for some advice, and they got me into some better stretching techniques.
She has this encouragement to anyone who feels like a race like this is out of their reach.
It's 1 foot at a time. I would just say, just go for it. I never really considered either until my friend had asked me about it. And now that I've been training for it, this journey has been so inspirational. It's amazing. It's provided some clarity. I love running.
And Sunday will be a family affair because little Joshua will run in the kids' race.
I'm ready to hit the highway, so wish me luck, y'all.
In Charlotte, Dinesh Broom, Channel 9, Eyewitness News.
I love that, and we focus a lot of attention on those elite runners, but we do have 2 hours of coverage, and he ran in less than 30 minutes. So we're able to celebrate everybody who's participating in this event, and that's what's been so fun about this.
And even I love those shots that she's enjoying this. She's smiling through the entire thing as a new first-time runner, but then also she's bringing her son Joshua into it, and he was hitting the high knees and everything, prepping for his race.
And speaking of the kids' race, that was yesterday, and we do want to show you some video of those young runners yesterday They ran at Camp North End, and their race was 1.277 miles as an adventure. Now, this was while today's runners were at the expo picking up their bibs and their race day goodies. We found a little girl there who says she wants to follow in her father's footsteps.
It was good, but it was like really long. I'm really tired. Yeah, it's my first race for me, but my dad ran the Charlotte Marathon where I had to run all over Charlotte. So it was kind of cool for me to do the same thing, but shorter.
Yeah, maybe she can do the marathon next. Maura says the heat made her first race a challenge, as it did for everybody here, but she told us she hopes to race with her father in the big one day, and I absolutely love that.
Good for her. Congratulations. I mean, they're starting them young, and the kids in the strollers here, they're born into it, you know.
Absolutely. All right, we'll be right back with more coverage of the Around the Crown 10K. Stay with us. Welcome back. Every year, race organizers work to make the Around the Crown more sustainable, from transportation to those water stops to the clothes on the runners' backs.
Yeah, Channel 9's climate reporter Michelle Alfini explains the Charlotte company behind this year's T-shirts and their mission to reduce race waste.
A typical race can be surprisingly wasteful. Printing thousands of bibs, food wrappers, paper cups.
So you're talking about 15,000 water cups just on the course.
Race director Brian Mister says there are some simple solutions. Smaller bibs, compost and recycle bins, reusable cups. But when it comes to environmental impact, typically the worst offender is the race shirt.
It's all the way from raw material to finished good.
A typical t-shirt travels tens of thousands of miles and uses hundreds of gallons of water before it's ever worn. Then, most end up in a landfill. Adam Bratton with Recover Brand says their shirts are different.
Let's use all those materials that are already out there in the environment.
Most of their shirts are made from recycled plastic, and their other main ingredient is old shirts.
And we can take back old t-shirts, cotton, polyester, and blended t-shirts and turn those back into new materials.
About 50% of this shirt is made from degraded t-shirts turned back into yarn. And if you take a closer look at it, you can see all of those different colors from those old shirts, giving the fabric a rainbow pattern.
Those little flakes could theoretically be part of your previous shirt that you recycled. We got back into our process and turned it back into new gear.
Bratton says this year's Around the Crown shirt is the same. But they're not just giving shirts out. They're collecting old shirts at the Race Expo for future projects.
It's a big activation at Around the Crown.
Recover Brands has supplied Around the Crown since the race began, and now partners with races across the country. As demand for sustainable options grows, Bratton hopes Recover does too.
People that are out running in the environment want to take care of the environment.
In Charlotte, Michelle Alfini, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
And here is a look at that T-shirt, and here is a look at that climate reporter, Michelle Alfini, who did that story, covering, packages and stories about sustainability. What does this race mean to you? One, you're running in it, but two, you get to know what's behind it.
Yeah, exactly. Like they said in the package, when you are a person who runs, when you're a person who enjoys the outdoors, being sustainable really means a lot to you. So being able to be a part of this race and making sure that they cut down on waste. And I had one of those reusable cups, and it's great to know that we're not filling the city with trash.
Michelle Alfini, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on finishing as well. We're going to take one more break and then wrap up our coverage from the Around the Crown 10K. Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the Around the Crown 10K. We're taking a look from Chopper 9 Sky Zoom above this event, as well as the start-finish line as the 7,000 plus runners continue to finish this race. It's been an incredible morning here in Uptown Charlotte. Joining us now is the 2,147th place finisher.
Wow.
Which
wow.
isn't bad when you think about 7,000 people.
You know what? I tell you what. I think I did pretty good. I think those elite runners have something to look out for next year. I'm going to take it next year.
Yeah.
You're coming in number one. That's going to be you. Bump up about 2,000 some points.
Yeah, but it was great just to be out here. The atmosphere was wonderful. The people rooting us on, that's really gave everyone inspiration to finish hard. So.
Now, I want you to take a look at this monitor, Damani. This is you finishing the race here. Now, we saw you coming down Mint Street, and you were motoring.
You are cruising.
Now, do we get the push out of the way? Oh no. So we edited that. I saw you maneuvering your way through Mint Street, but tell me about, first of all, what are you feeling right there?
You know what? I'm feeling like I'm just happy to be done. And I was just like, don't pass out. But no, it was great. You know, that last quarter mile, I wanted to finish strong. I felt like I had a lot left. And like I said, people just rooting us on. It was just tremendous to be out here and running.
Queen's Climb, how was it?
It was a climb, I'll tell you that. It was. You know, thankfully I train in a lot of different neighborhoods, so I'm up hills a lot. But for other folks, I saw that it was still pretty hard out there, and for me too. But people powered through it, and it is truly a climb out there.
Damani, you're a runner.
Yeah.
7,000 people in this event, and not just 7,000 people. I mean, we've got thousands of people to celebrate all these participants. What does it mean to you to come out and run an event like this and sort of represent Charlotte like this?
You know what? I'll tell you what. I think for me and everyone out here, everyone has a different story for why they run. People are running for family members. People are running for a great cause, nonprofits, and I think that is the best. That's the spirit behind this: is have your story, run for that person, or run for that organization, and that's what Charlotte truly is. It's really a community, and you saw that out here today.
And real quick, for anyone who doesn't know, Damani likes to start the morning shows whenever I get to fill in with them.
Oh, yeah.
2 claps, he's yelling, he's pumping everybody up.
Oh,
How
yeah.
are you pumping yourself up through this?
You know what? I'm going to give myself 2 claps to Ric Flair today. Woo!
Damani Lewis, man, thank you so much for joining us after such a grueling race. We appreciate your time.
No problem,
Damani,
guys.
thank
It's
you.
an awesome event.
Yeah. And if you want to watch any of these stories again or get information about how to join any of these run clubs or the Viva Chicken volunteers, you can head to our website right now, WSOCTV.com.
And everything's going to be available for free on our WSOC TV news app. What an incredible morning here in Uptown Charlotte. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for the Around the Crown 10K.
Enjoy the rest of your morning. Eyewitness News is back at 11. Have a great day.